Hey, Molly. Are you there? I was just curious if you saw the condo photos that I sent you earlier. The view is from so high up. I was just so excited that I had to show everyone my new view. And it has a huge living room and even a concierge. I knew that getting with a CFO would be a good idea. Having a rich husband is great.
No, actually. I didn't look at the photo, and I don't appreciate all your bragging. So please just leave me alone, alright?
You know, if you don't want to talk to me, you could always just block me. But the fact that you haven't until now means that you secretly want to hear about how amazing my life is.
Yeah, that's really not what's going on here at all. And I haven't blocked you because you're my sister. I only haven't blocked you for that reason and that alone.
You always have the same old lame excuses. Do you know that? If you really loved George, then you'd have blocked me by now. Or do you think that you'll somehow be able to take him back from me? Because I can tell you right now that that's not going to happen. George doesn't have even an ounce of feelings left for you, so there.
Oh boy, here we go again.
I'm just saying that it's clear you can't let him go. Or the fact that I was able to steal him from you. But it's your fault for not keeping your eyes on that rich man of yours. And to think that you two had been dating for 5 years before I was finally able to make him all mine. I knew that you two were even thinking about marriage. But I guess I put an end to all of that right away, didn't I? So why don't you just accept that I've won and just leave us to be in peace already?
You're the one who messaged me in the first place. And I don't want George back at all, thank you very much. Why can't you just accept that I have a lot of complicated feelings about all of this? I mean, you're my sister, but I wish that you would quit rubbing this in my face all the time.
Oh man, you really are just such a crybaby. Do you know that? You think your crocodile tears are going to change anything? If anything, it just makes me think of you as all the more pathetic.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to be like that to me.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want, but all I hear is a little loser asking for her boyfriend back. It's not cute, though, and you won't be getting George back.
I'm not trying to get pity from you, or get George back. How many times am I going to have to say that? Yes, we were talking about getting married, but we're apart now and I don't think about it. And besides, he was the one in Get With You, so why would I want to marry a man like that now?
There you go, making up all those lame little excuses again. It really is just sad, you know? But maybe he left you because you're such a crybaby? And for that, I'm going to have you in the very back at mine and George's wedding.
Wait, what? What wedding? What are you talking about?
Oh, didn't you hear? We're going to be getting married this year. He told me that he can't wait any longer and wants to do it right away.
You have got to be kidding me. I was shocked when you two moved in together. But now you're telling me that you're getting married too?
Well, duh. I mean, George is already 30 years old. And I guess that his dad had a long talk with him about taking responsibility. Not to mention, he has a lot to think about with work. So we figured the easiest thing to do would just be to marry each other as soon as possible.
Oh, I see. Well, no, I hadn't heard any of that at all.
Oh, don't worry. You'll be getting an invitation when we have more details figured out. But just remember that you're going to be kept to the very back of the whole affair. I can't wait to see your crying face at the very end of the walkway. Yours is going to be the last that we see before we drive off into the sunset together.
Oh man, don't you have any pride for yourself, Molly? If you really want to get back together with me, you should just talk to me about it directly.
What in the world are you talking about, George?
I mean that I saw you just now in the office. You came to my dad to try and make him get back together with you, right? Have to say that I'm pretty shocked. I didn't realize that you wanted me so badly. I'm a bit of a bad boy, if you hadn't noticed.
Literally, what in the world are you talking about? Have you hit your head or something like that? I don't want anything to do with you ever again. And your dad called me here to talk to him about something else.
And just why would my dad want to talk to my ex-girlfriend, He doesn't associate with bottom feeders like you. He's too busy.
He was suspicious about why we broke up after 5 years just for you to end up with my sister. And he was surprised to hear about you and my sister getting married. So he called me to discuss that.
Oh, yeah, that does sound like him, I guess. He just can't learn how to mind his own business. But who cares who I date? It's my choice. He needs to learn to butt out and let me live my life.
I think it's that your dad is worried about you and wants to make sure that you're making good choices.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the excuse he gave you for his actions. But it's so obvious that you came to the office today to try and beg for me to get back together with you. Your obsession with me is really just getting sad at this point, Molly.
I think the only person who thinks anyone is sad here is your dad about you. In fact, he apologized for your actions to me today. He apologized for what you did, and then he gave me a rather thick envelope.
Oh, I get what's going on now. You were blackmailing my dad about what I did so that you could get a big payout. Is that it?
You have got to be kidding me. Do you really think that's what's going on?
You know that we weren't even engaged yet, right? Oh, but I get why you'd be mad about wasting 5 years of your 20s with me. I would want to pay out too if I was a poor little nobody like you. But man, it really is sad when you get caught red-handed taking money like that, isn't it?
You really have no idea about anything that happened between your dad and I. But yes, if you really must know, he did give me some money.
There you go. I called it. I guess at least there was a silver lining to getting dumped by me after all. Hope you think of me when you spend that money.
Again, you have no idea at all what you're talking about. And the only person I feel any gratitude towards is your father. I know that you and my sister are getting married, but I wouldn't do anything more to upset your dad. He really is getting on his last straw with you.
Ah, well, thank you so much for your concern, but I think I'm going to keep on living my life however I want. Especially if that means avoiding marrying an old hag.
Hey there, sis. Did you get the invitation to my wedding? I bet that you were pretty surprised, weren't you? Did you look at where we were going to be having it? It's a pretty amazing place.
Oh, yes. I saw the venue. It sounds like a pretty amazing place. Even the invitation was all shiny. And haven't a bunch of celebrities gotten married there too? This must be costing a lot, no?
Well, that's what happens when you marry a CFO! Did you really think we were going to have some tiny wedding? And the catering is being done by one of the best places in the city, too. We've even got a Michelin chef to create the menu for us.
Wow. So much money, all to spend it all on just one day of celebration.
Well, this day is going to be one of the most important in my entire life. I'm going to be the star of the show, and everyone is going to see how bright I'll shine. Ooh, maybe some celebrities will even show up to help me celebrate it. Just thinking about it makes me so excited.
I get being happy about your wedding, but do you have any idea how much it's going to cost? I mean, I know that George is rich, but even he doesn't have limitless wealth. And you've basically been nothing but a mooch ever since you graduated.
I have not been a mooch or anything like that. At all. I've made my own money off of modeling, thank you very much. I'm a model with an agency and everything. Sure, I have a part-time job that I have at my office and everything, but I'm a model. Don't get me wrong.
It sounds to me like you have a really booming career there. But are you really saying that a part-time model and her unemployed fiancé are going to be able to afford something like this? I hope you two weren't planning on trying to pay for the whole thing through your wedding gifts.
Who is unemployed here? Besides, there's really nothing to worry about at all. I mean, George's dad is going to be paying for it all anyways. So we're not going to be paying for anything.
Hold on a second. You mean that George's dad really said that he's going to pay for it?
Oh, come on! Surely you can't be surprised about that, right? I mean, of course he was going to. George is the CFO of his company. Of course his dad is going to pay for the wedding. Not just the venue. He's going to pay for the catering and staff and everything. We won't have to spend a single dime.
But what I want to know is, if George's dad really actually promised that he would pay for your wedding, I mean, did he actually say those things? Because as far as I know, his dad really didn't seem to approve of his son sneaking around one bit.
Oh, George told me all about how you were called into his father's office and how you probably tried to rat us out for your own benefit. But even then, there was no scolding that came or anything. Don't you get it? This just proves that I've won. I'm in and you're out, and that's that. He clearly approves of our wedding, and it's obvious that he's going to support us.
Okay, I mean, I wasn't going to throw a fit about it or anything like that. I was just curious about what he said is all.
And just why in the world do you even care now that this doesn't even involve you, huh? Did you really think his dad wouldn't support his own son? I mean, you know that George is going to take over the company once his dad steps down, don't you? There's no way that he wouldn't pay for a wedding with so much on the line.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I'm actually not so sure he is going to be taking over.
You really have no idea what you're talking about. You're just jealous because we're going to have the amazing wedding that you never could. But don't worry, it's not like we're not going to invite you. In fact, the both of us really hope that you show up. You want to rub your face in our success.
Well, I'm your sister, so of course I was going to be at the wedding. But you said you were going to sit me in the back. So I'm still wondering if you even have a seat actually saved for me at this point.
Oh, come on. That doesn't mean you're going to miss the wedding, though, right? You have to be there to sit in the back and look all sad for us. And you have to make sure to bring us a big wedding gift. We won't be accepting anything less than about 10 grand.
Hold on a second. You're not really asking your guest to be giving you $10,000 as a gift, are you?
Oh, come on. This is going to be the wedding of a lifetime. Did you really think the ticket to get in was going to be cheap? Besides, don't you want to come and see your one and only little sister getting married? This is never going to happen again. Surely money's no object for you to be there for me, right?
What in the world are you talking about? How can you seriously be asking for that? That's just absurd.
But you're missing some of the perks that you get of sitting in the front row. That means that when you walk through the door, you've already found your seat. Honestly, in a lot of ways, you're getting the VIP treatment. Don't you see that?
I have no idea who in their right mind would pay $10,000 for entrance into any kind of wedding. But I'm certainly not going to be shelling out that sort of cash to go see some failed model get hitched.
Excuse me? What did you just say? What's the matter with you? Fine then. Since you and I are sisters, you'll only have to bring $1,000. How does that sound? Now that I've given you such a huge discount, you have to show up at the wedding, right?
You really are just completely out of line right now. And just why should I have to show up there anyways?
Oh, come on. You're not actually going to miss this, right? One of the whole reasons I want to get married is just that I can see the disappointment on your face. Surely $1,000 shouldn't be too much for you, right? After all the strings that I'm pulling and the role that I'm giving you?
Let's get something straight here. You do know that George has been disinherited, right?
Wait, what? What do you mean by that? I don't understand.
I mean that's why I've been wondering if you're really going to be able to pull off having such a huge wedding. That's why I said it'll be a wedding for a wannabe model and her unemployed husband. And I really don't know about bringing $1,000 just for that.
Wait a second. I don't understand. What is this? What are you talking about? What do you mean he's been disinherited?
So I guess you still haven't heard the news then, right? But I think you should go and ask George or his dad as soon as you can. And you should also go and find out just who is going to be paying for that wedding. You might just be able to save yourself. Or your wedding if you try and act fast.
What the heck is going on here? Why in the world did you tell Tina that I had been disinherited? What's the matter with you? That things were going so well, and I finally thought that we were going to have some smooth sailing, and then you have to come along and blow everything up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ruin your plan to defraud my sister through her marriage to you? It's not my fault that your dad chose to do what he did. Besides, I know that it's not just that. He's cutting you off everywhere. I know that he took your fancy black card, and I bet that isn't going to be giving you a dime for your wedding. But I still just wonder what you've been telling Tina in the midst of all of this. And just how did you think it was going to be smooth sailing? I mean, what did you think was going to happen once you two are married and she finds out that you're out of a job?
Shut up. I don't need you critiquing my plan. It was all going to work in the end, okay? Or at least everything was going to be just fine until you had to go and ruin it. Look, I thought I had done such a good job of hiding from Tina that my dad had cut me off, and when she found out, she flew into a huge panic.
Oh, yes, I bet that she would have. And I don't blame her one bit for it. It really is ironic, though. She was getting married to you and thought that she'd be set for the rest of her life. You two even wanted to invite me so that you could try and rub my face in it. But now the only people who are going to end up regretting everything are you two.
What's the matter with you? How dare you talk as if you're not a part of this? You did this. This is all your fault and you have to pay for this. Look, I have no idea what you told my dad or what he told you, but I just know that you had a part in all of this.
Wow. Well, here's a side I didn't think I would see of you. You're so desperate now. But I'm sure that you already know all of what I told your dad. I already told you exactly what I did, of course. But you had quite a different attitude when I was there at the office. You were so cocky, weren't you?
But, well, I mean, I thought you had come back to my dad's office to beg for him to make me get back together with you. And even if my dad did want to know the truth about how your sister and I got together, you didn't have to tell him the part about where I was cheating on you. But don't you realize the problems that you've made for us? I was so shocked when the day after I saw you at the office, my dad called me into his and told me the horrible news.
There you go, like a child crying because you didn't get a toy that you wanted. You thought you knew exactly what was going on, but you don't know anything.
Shut up. You don't know anything. I'm not crying. This isn't how things were supposed to go. I'd never seen my dad so mad at me before. Look, he's always given me whatever I want, and now I'm going to get nothing for the rest of my life. This can't be happening to me.
I can't believe that you've gotten this far in life and you still act like such a petulant, spoiled child. It really is just pathetic.
What did you say? You can't talk to me like that. It's not fair.
Of course your dad spoiled you. You were his one and only son. I mean, I know all about how your mom died when you were young. So obviously your dad was putting all his hopes into you. I'm not shocked at all that he is upset with you.
You don't know anything about me or my dad, so don't pretend like you do.
You know, when your dad called me into the office to talk about you and my sister, he was so crushed. He just had no idea how he could have ended up raising such a scummy son. He even said that. I could hear his voice choking up and how disappointed he was in you.
No, that can't be right. Please tell me this isn't true. This can't be happening to me.
Well, I think you have more pressing things to worry about now. Like, how are you going to afford this huge extravagant wedding that Tina kept going on and on about? Why don't you quit crying like a baby to me and get the rest of your life in order, huh? After that, Tina messaged me crying about how overnight their wedding budget had been literally decimated. She realized that she was never going to get the huge wedding she'd been bragging about. But Tina was freaking out about the wedding and wondering about how she was going to get out of her relationship with George before it was too late. She missed her chance to act. George had already sent the wedding certificate to be filed away, and wedding or no, the two were legally husband and wife now. The two of them ended up moving into a cramped little apartment and had to take the first job that they could find. George begged his father for money over and over, but it was no use. He even burst into his father's building to beg for help, but George's dad later told me was carried out by security promptly. Ever since then, Tina has been too busy handling her own crazy life with her own terrible husband to bother me anymore. As I mentioned above, George's father and I still keep in touch. I had heard from some of the staff about how angry he had gotten at his son, but to me he had never been anything but kind and courteous. As for me, I was more or less able to rid myself of Tina and George and simply went on with my life. I was glad to have dodged that bullet and was satisfied that I had put an end to Tina's wedding plans before she would have ended up with the bill for such a huge affair. Whether she'll ever see it that way is another issue. Thank you for watching! If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this.